Hello everyone, today I'm going to show you how to use SolidWorks to make the lower housing, which is this part, and this is chapter 12 exercise 2. So we're making a lower housing, so let's take a look what part this is. So it's actually the part at the bottom. So this is the part that we're going to make. Okay, so let's go back to the part. So this is the drawing of the part, and we're going to make this part, and the part is thus. So our procedure is going to be, so first of all, we make the part like this. So we draw the sketch like this, then we extrude it, and then we make this part by using the cut revolve. So we are going to draw a sketch like this and do a revolve cut in this direction, and then we make this part, do a cut extrude and extrude it in the do the cut extrude in the back. Then we make holes, then do the pattern with all holes. This is the plan. Then let's close this part and start our project. So select the new one in a new part and make sure the units is right, so it's English units once again. Now I am going to create the part on the front plane because I am going to draw this part. So it's on the front plane, so I draw the part like this. So let's go back here. So this is easier, so let's draw that, and I'm gonna put my origin here. So go back to SolidWorks and do a sketch. Select a sketch, make it on the front plane, and origin is there. So I am going to make a circle like this, and go back to our sketch and make a line like that. Then okay, so go to SolidWorks, make lines like that. So go here, make sure it's straight, go down and get an intersection here, make sure the coincident relation is showing up, and say okay for that. Then let's go back, then then go right, go down and close the ship. Then go here, so go the dimension, so go here. Whoop, recognize that's not what we want. So we're going to start from the other direction. So make it coincident with the circle. Make sure both coincident and horizontal relation is showing up. Then close the line and start a new line because we don't want to have one line on top of the other. And make a line here and go down. Make sure it's go below the bottom part and recognize the origin. Make it vertical and put it here. And now let's trim off the extra. Before I do that, I probably want to put a center line here because I'm going to mirror the part later. So put a center line. Another reason is I will be able to trim off the half circle. Otherwise, it does not have intersection points. It's going to be hard. And now let's dimension the part. So if we go back, and the dimension of the bigger circle is the radius is 6. So let's go 6 here, smart dimensioning. The radius is 6, so the diameter is 12. Then the thickness here is 0.41. So go back here, the thickness is 0.41. And also we need a length here. So the length, let's take a look. The top one looks like 15. So from here to here, so it's going to be 15 divided by 2, which is 7.5. So go back here and the dimension from this point to this edge as 7.5. Now it's black, so let's figure out the bottom blue here. And this is 14. And the vertical one is 6.75 minus 5. So let's go back here. So dimension this as 14 divided by 2, which is, whoop, didn't recognize the point, so let's drag the point on the center line. Okay, go out of smart, so go say OK and go out of smart dimensioning and drag it on the center line. Okay, and now let's dimension the height there. So the height here is supposed to be 6.75 minus 5, and that's the height. Then the other height is from the center, so to this point is going to be 5. So put a 5 in there. Now they're all black, and it's a good time for us to trim off the part. So going to trim off, so I don't need this part. Looks like everything okay. Okay, take out that. What about this part? Okay, it worked so far, and I don't need this part either. Take that out. This part I don't need either. Okay, looks good, and say okay. And now we are going to mirror the part to the other side. So we go to mirror entity and select the entities to mirror. So we select everything except the center line. So drag it in this way. The center line is there. So we uncheck that. So hold the control and select the center line is unchecked. And let's go to the mirror about. So let's select the center line and say OK for this. Now it's a closed shape, and now it's a good time to save the work. So let's save it and name it as lower housing. WERHOUSING, and save it. And the next step, we are going to extrude this part. So let's figure out the thickness of the part. So go back here. So the thickness is going to be 8. So let's extrude that. Go back here and select the sketch 1 and go to features, extruded the part. So we're going to select the middle plane and give a thickness as 8. And looks right, and say OK. And this is the part. And save the work. And now let's look at the next step. And we are going to do this square part, then do a revolve cut. And let's go back to SolidWorks, and I'm going to go to the top view and make that a square. So I do a sketch, select the sketch, and select the top plane, and do the square. So I am going probably rectangle, not 100% sure. So anyway, I'm going to select this part and recognize from the center, so I don't need to add relations later, and put it like this. And let's figure out all the thickness there. So if we go back to PowerPoint, then the thickness here is 0.25. So let's look at the right side view. So 0.25 means this is 0.25, this is 0.25, and the rest is this dimension. So that dimension, we're going to look at the front view. So this circle and the other circle. So the radius is 6 minus 5.75, so that's a 0.25 as well. So they're all a quarter. So let's go back here and dimension all of them as a quarter. So say OK for the rectangle, and dimension here to there as a quarter, 0.25, and dimension this to this as a quarter, 0.25, and this to this as 0.25 as well. And this one is supposed to be on the origin, so let's see if we can drag it on. Let's drag that part. Okay, and put it back on. Okay, it doesn't take. So let's try to add a relation. So add a relation, select this line and the origin. See, they are the coincident. See, it works. Okay, it worked. Then save the work. Then we have this. Now we're going to do the Revolve Cut. So let's go back to features and select the sketch tool first. Then do the Revolve the Cut. And this is the direction. It's going up, probably not right. So we select it, make it go down. So direction. So select this, go down. Then instead of a 360, let's make it a 180. So only get half cut. And the direction, so axis, let's select this as the axis. Whoops, it's wrong again. So let's switch it. Yep, looks right. The blend looks right so far. Oh, I think that the dimension is not right. So supposed to be the inner. Yeah, supposed to be the inner. So we need to fix this dimension there. So let's do this first. Then we're going to fix the dimension there. And save the work first. Then let's go to the sketch tool and figure out the thickness here. So go back to the PowerPoint. So this is 14 as the, oh, okay, this is a 15 at the top. So it's a 15, and the inner one is 6, so the diameter is 12. So 15 minus 12 is 3, so means each of this is 1.5. So let's add 1.5 on top of a quarter. So remember we put a quarter there. So let's add 1.5. So go back here and the thickness. So go to sketch and go to sketch so we can change this dimension. So add another add 1.5 on top of a quarter. And let's do that and say OK. And let's save it. It will ask us to rebuild and say OK for that. And look at the sketch. Yeah, looks right to me. And this is the part. OK, looks right. So let's save the work one more time. Now let's go to the next. So the next step, we're going to cut these two parts. So let's figure out the diameter of these two. So one is 4.875 as the radius, another is 1.5. So let's go to SolidWorks. So let me go to the front view because I don't know which one it is. So let's go here and select the front view. Okay, this is the front. Then go to sketch and make a, so select this as my surface. And go to a circle and make a circle here and dimension that. So say OK and give a dimension. is going to be 4.875 times 2 because that's the radius, and this is the diameter, and say OK. Then let's make a line crossover so it's a closed part. Then let's trim off the top part and say OK. And now let's save the work and do the cut, so extruded cut, and selected that automatically. We don't want to cut it through, so let's try up to the next. Up to next, looks right, and say OK. And now let's go back to the back view, okay, back side, and let's select to the back and select the sketch and select the plane, which is this, and go to the circle again, make the circle on the back and say OK, and dimension the circle as diameter as 3 and say OK, and make a line crossover and trim off the extra and say OK. Now we are going to select the sketch forward and go back to features and do extruded cut, and once again we make it to up to the next and say OK for it. And this is the part. So let's see what's the next. So we are going to make all those holes. So let's look at the dimension of the hole. It's going to be 0.41, and dimension right here 0.75 and 1, and each of them is the space is 2. So let's go back to SolidWorks and select the top view. Okay, so let's go to Hole Wizard and select the simple hole. So we're in ANSI inch, which is right, and show decimal values. We're looking for the 0.41. Let's see if we have that. 0.41. 0.41. We don't have that, so just select this number then I don't need this option, so I uncheck that. I probably need to do the show customer sizing because I need to change it, so I change it to 0.41, and instead of through all, I'm going to do up to the next, so it does not give me an error, hopefully. So let's try go to the position tab and give a position. Select the surface. I'm going to select this surface instead of 3D. So I select the surface here and place a hole. And now let's give a dimensions. So go to smart dimension. So from the center to the edge is going to be 0.75. And from center to this edge is going to be 1. And say OK for this, and say OK if the take. Yep, looks right to me. And now we are going to use pattern. So go to linear pattern, and so the direction, I'm going to select this line, and the space, I'm going to put a 2 there because it's what its size. So the space is 2, and I need 4 circles. Okay, so 4 of them, and let's go to a full preview so we can see them. Okay, it does not show up. Oh, we have not selected the hole yet. So the feature, okay, the feature is here. Let's select the hole. So let's see. Yeah, this is the hole we just made. Yeah, looks right. And now let's go to direction 2. So I'm going to select this edge. So let's see if it let me. Yeah, looks right so far. And the distance. So let's figure out the distance of the holes. So go back to the slides, and it's going to be 15 minus 0.75 minus another 0.75 on the other side. So let's go back here, and days turns. So let's do 15 minus 0.75 times 2, and we need 2 of them. And let's look at the preview. Yeah, does not give it to us. The direction is probably incorrect, so let's do the direction. Yep, it shows up and looks right to me, and say OK for that. And this is the part, and we can save the work and give a good view. Then we're all set for this part. And thanks for watching. We're going to see you next time. Bye.